Okay, so today we're diving into this kind of wild story, right? This right-wing conspiracy theory. And it's really impacting like this small Ohio town. And we've got a lot to unpack firsthand accounts from Haitian immigrants, political analysis, even get this a look at how some Florida sheriff is handling these school shooting threats.
Yeah, it's wild how these things, they seem totally separate, but it's like they all connect back to how powerful words can be, especially when they come from like authority figures and how quickly things can like spiral.
Right, almost like someone yelling fire in a crowded theater, you know what I mean? By the time you figure out if there's actually a fire or not, the damage is already done. But okay, let's back up. Start with what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. So at the heart of this, it's this really harmful conspiracy theory about Haitian immigrants. You ever heard that one? The one about them eating, like, cats.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's almost like the oldest trick in the book. You want to turn people against each other. You make up an enemy, even if that enemy doesn't exist.
And it's really getting scary for the people actually living in Springfield. Yeah. These reports coming out are rough. People are literally afraid to leave their homes.
It's like, remember when everyone thought that Chuckles. The thing with the Chuckles, I can't even say it with a straight face, but people totally freaked out. That's what they call a moral panic, and it's happening right now in Springfield. Once you've got that fear, anything negative said about whoever they're targeting, people just believe it. Doesn't matter if it's true.
Totally. One guy, Evans Edward, he said, "For now, I'm just careful because if I don't need to go outside, I don't go. I just go to drop my son at school and take him back, and then when it's time, go to work." Imagine being that afraid just because of where you're from.
And let's not forget, none of it's even true. The people in charge in Springfield, they've already said it's all BS. There's zero proof.
It's like they forgot Haitian immigrants are, people with lives and families, and they contribute just like anyone else.
Not to mention the economic side. They've added a ton to Springfield, filling jobs, supporting businesses, making it a more vibrant place. To call them a threat is so off base and unfair.
Right. This isn't just about some weird rumor, There's actual damage. Businesses are getting trashed, kids getting picked on at school, people scared for their safety. It's crazy how fast it all went sideways.
It really is. And the thing is, this isn't just happening in a vacuum. Like, zoom out a little, and it's obvious this conspiracy theory is getting amplified. Certain people, and they're in positions of power on the national stage, they're basically adding fuel to the fire with what they're saying.
You're talking about Trump and Vance.
Yep. Them being involved adds a whole other level to this, because by repeating these bogus claims, even indirectly, they're tapping into these, like, existing prejudices and anxieties within their base.
And you'd think they'd know better. Both of them. They've got a track record. Inflammatory stuff about immigrants. It's not a one-time thing.
Classic dog whistle politics, right? That coded language, slipping in those claims that are totally made up. They're sending a message to their supporters, even if they're not, like, outright saying the worst of it.
And that's the really dangerous part. You can draw a straight line from that kind of talk to the fear and discrimination happening in Springfield.
It's a slippery slope. You start dehumanizing a group of people, saying they're dangerous. Suddenly, treating them terribly doesn't seem so bad. And it's not new, sadly. Look at what happened with the Chinese community back in the 1800s. Yeah. All that discrimination, the violence, even laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act, all because of fear and lies, basically.
Feels like we're repeating history, right?
It's a reminder that we can't let this stuff slide, no matter who's saying it. We got to call it out every time.
Speaking of calling things out, this isn't just about talk, is it? It's about what people do because of it.
You said it. Words have real-world consequences.
Which brings us to this whole thing with this Florida sheriff and how he's, let's say, handling these school shooting threats.
It's like a case study in free speech versus keeping people safe. And what happens when someone in charge uses really strong language, even if they mean well?
Okay, so context, he's dealing with all these hoax threats, which are a huge problem on their own, right? Disruptive, everyone's terrified, tons of wasted resources. But his solution, he's posting mugshots online of anyone who makes these threats, even if they're kids, like full-on public shaming.
Yeah, and people have thoughts about that. Some are like, finally, someone's getting tough. Others are saying it's just cruel, that it'll backfire and really mess those kids up.
What do you think?
Tough one. I mean, yeah, got to stop the threats. But publicly shaming kids, especially if they did something dumb without thinking it through, does that really help them in the long run? Can they come back from that? Not so sure.
It's like, how do you teach them it's serious without doing something that might make things worse?
Exactly. Plus, it's not just about those kids. It's the message it sends to everyone. Like, this is how we roll here. And that's not a road you want to go down.
It's normalizing public humiliation, which is never good.
Nope. And it makes you wonder about basic fairness, Innocent until proven guilty, especially with minors. Those are pretty important rules. We shouldn't just toss them out.
And here's where it circles back to Springfield, don't you think?
Totally. Both these situations, it's about how words and actions, especially from people in charge, they have this ripple effect. They cause consequences that go way beyond whoever they were aimed at.
It's like they're both using these megaphones, trying to blast their message as far as it'll go. And that's where it gets really messy, especially with social media these days.
Oh, tell me about it. One tweet, one meme, it goes viral.
Yeah.
And suddenly, everyone's an expert. Even if they totally missed the point or there was way more to the story.
It's exhausting, right? Trying to figure out what's real, what's fake, who to trust. It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Information overload, for sure. And it's easy to get sucked into those echo chambers online, where everyone agrees with you already, so you never see the other side. So how do we even start to, be smarter about the information we're getting and see when someone's trying to play us?
Yeah, how do we do that?
I think it comes down to being skeptical, really questioning everything, especially the stuff we agree with already, or the stuff that makes us mad or scared. That's usually a sign that we should take a closer look.
So next time I'm scrolling and there's a headline that makes me want to hit share before you even read the article.
Hit the brakes. Ask yourself who wrote this. Is it a legit news source or some random blog pushing an agenda? Is it balanced or trying to push your buttons? If it feels too crazy to be true, it probably is.
And even if it is true, think about what happens when you share it. Could it make things worse for people who are already dealing with prejudice and fear?
It all goes back to remembering that information is powerful. Like any kind of power, you can use it to help or to hurt.
This has been really eye-opening. So if there's one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today, what would it be?
Simple. Words matter. They can get people riled up. They can tear us apart. But they can also inspire us and bring us together. So let's all choose our words carefully. And let's be smart about the information we take in and the stuff we spread.
Well said. Be kind, be curious, and think before you share. That's it for this deep dive.